Hi, this is George DeJohn and Dr. Jeremy Webster. We're talking about sugar and salt and milk and wheat and dairy cravings. Craving control today. If you have issues with controlling cravings, any one of the above or all of them, we're going to be able to help you today and talk about why you might be having these cravings and why they're out of control. Dr. Webster, the most common craving that you see people having today is?
I would say sugar is the most common, although the ones you mentioned are also very common. Salt cravings, milk cravings, wheat cravings, very common things. But sugar cravings, and when I say sugar, I'm not talking about just candy, I'm not talking about soda pops, I'm talking about anything that leads to sugar in your body. Popcorn, potatoes, wheat, all these starchy foods, anything that's starchy will turn right into sugar in your body.
So it turns into sugar, but it also makes us crave more sugar?
Yeah, the reason is the more carbohydrate you consume, or the more sugar you consume, the more resistant your body is to that sugar. So when your body becomes resistant, it can't absorb that sugar for energy. So you start craving more.
Okay, so now if someone's got a salt craving, they don't crave sugar foods at all. You know, it's kind of weird. We always hear people say, I either crave salt or I crave sugar. You don't hear many people that crave both. But if somebody's got an issue with craving salt, what could that be attributed to?
Well, salt, that's a completely different issue. Usually when you have a salt craving, it's an adrenal issue. So your adrenal glands are your stress gland. When we're exposed to stress, we're supposed to make stress chemicals. But another chemical that's made in that adrenal gland is aldosterone. Aldosterone helps us control our sodium and water retention. So when those adrenal glands get fatigued from all this stress, we can't control that aldosterone, and therefore we create sugar and not sugar, but salt cravings. There's other things like mineral deficiencies, like magnesium and potassium deficiencies can also cause salt cravings, but the adrenals are the ones that I see the most often.
You and I have often talked about before sea salt being beneficial to us. So if someone craves salt, should they switch to sea salt? If so, why?
They absolutely should. I tell you what, George, if there's an adrenal issue, they shouldn't try to resist that salt craving until they get the adrenals resolved. But yeah, they should absolutely switch to sea salt because it's going to provide not only sodium and chloride, it's going to provide all the other trace minerals like the potassium and the magnesium that we talked about.
So if you're light on or low in electrolytes and you sweat a whole lot, it's probably really important that you do get sea salt back into your program. So now let's talk about milk, all dairy products and wheat. Our mother always said milk's good for you, have milk before you go to bed. Why is milk an issue for people who crave those type of foods all of the time? Why are we bringing milk into the mix of controlling cravings?
Well, milk, first of all, in my opinion, doesn't have any beneficial properties. It just doesn't. We get plenty of calcium from our fruits and vegetables as long as we eat fruits and vegetables. We don't need the calcium from milk.
Well, we also get plenty of calcium from loading our bones with weight. By doing weight-bearing exercises, we get plenty of calcium back into our bones again. So that's not an issue. So you're saying we don't really need milk.
We don't really need milk.
But if we're craving milk, why are we craving milk?
Yeah, we're craving milk usually because we have a food allergy to that milk.
There's a food allergy to milk, so it makes us crave it more?
That's right. In fact, milk and wheat are the two things. The proteins in those foods are actually very similar to opium. They bind to opium receptors in our brain and cause us to crave those foods when we haven't had them for a few hours. So it's the foods that you crave the most are typically the foods that you are sensitive to.
The foods you crave the most are the foods that you're most sensitive to.
Typically. So
now wheat. Someone craves wheat all of the time. Why is that an issue that we're craving wheat? I understand why we're craving it because you told us why, but why is that an issue for us?
Well, wheat, first of all, doesn't really have much nutritional value either. It turns directly into sugar when you eat it. There's a lot of gluten, so it can create problems with the gut. And there's just no beneficial value to it. There's no nutritional value to it. There's very little B vitamins, there's very little zinc, very little minerals. So we don't need to be eating it anyway.
Okay, so if you have any other questions about controlling cravings, I'm sure you'll see a way to contact Dr. Jeremy Webster. So for George DeJohn and Dr. Jeremy Webster, that's our information on controlling cravings today.